just a quick idea of our joint by joint concept come to life. Okay, so when we talk about the joint by joint, we have certain joints we want to be mobile and certain joints we want to be stable. Starting at the ankle, we want the ankle to be a mobile joint. Okay, so we want to be able to sit back into dorsiflexion to allow our other joints to take load off of our knees and load our hips. Okay, when that doesn't happen, when I collapse into plantar flexion because I don't have ankle mobility or ankle mobility into dorsiflexion, what happens is my knees are forced to come forward, creates additional shearing forces on my knees, really loads the anterior chain here, doesn't allow me to access my posterior chain, and as a result, we start getting things like knee issues, lower back issues, things like that. And not just because we squat, but every time we take a step, if we don't have that ankle mobility, my knee is forced to do more and the anterior chain is supposed to do more as a result. So when we talk about training, let's say we have an active person, they want to get back to activity. We want to be able to look at the body, make modifications to where they are right now, get them that ankle mobility back so everything in the chain is able to do more, okay, and make modifications to their training so they can continue to train, all right? So a tell for this is the overhead squat, okay? We're going to use this as an indicator of ankle mobility. We're going to look at his ankle mobility specifically, and then we'll make some modifications to his training, all right? So this is my lovely assistant Chris here. We're going to perform the overhead squat, all right? And what the overhead squat is, just movement in a bilateral stance, all right? So we're going to hold his arms above his head, okay? And what I want you to watch, okay, there's a lot going on here, but I want you to focus on the ankles, all right? Just watch his ankles, what we're looking for here is I want him to be able to sit back on his heels and get his heel to his butt with him staying on his heels, okay? When he starts to collapse forward onto his toes, I stop him, okay? Because I know that's a tell for a lack of dorsiflexion, all right? So let's see this. Go ahead, Chris. Just try to get down as far as you can. So as you can see, he doesn't even get down to about 90 degrees. Go ahead one more time. So for him, if I were to put a barbell on his back, he could definitely get down farther, but his knees would be forced to do much more work to get there. Okay, so instead, what we're going to do is we're going to take his ankles a little bit out of the equation. All right, what I have here are two Eric's pads. Okay, I'm going to put his heels up on the Eric's pads. All right, and we're going to see if that improves. If it does, it's reasonable to assume then the ankle mobility is something that we want to look at. All right, so let's get your heels on the Eric's pad. Go ahead. All right, arms up. Now just get down as far as you can. Go ahead. Okay, and as you can see, one more time, when we take dorsiflexion out of the equation, he gains 15, 20 degrees range of motion. Good, step off. So now just two simple things, two simple go-tos that we can use for this in training, okay? Because the first thing we want to do, and this could either be as a home exercise that we teach the person or something that we do in their warm-up, we want to give them back as much ankle mobility as they possibly can, okay? So the first drill that I'm going to teach Chris is what is called an ankle drive, okay? And with the ankle drive, I'm just going to have him come into a split stance here. What I'm doing is I'm just driving my knee out over my toe to the point where my heel starts to come off the ground, okay? So I'm just mobilizing towards the joints in range of motion into dorsiflexion, okay? I'll do this against the wall because as I get better at this movement, I can move back. Just kind of drive forward. Now, all my weight here is on the front leg, meaning I should feel this in the back of the front heel, okay? This also definitely goes along with rolling the calves and the foot first to get a little bit more mobility in those areas so we get some give to this movement. Okay, and generally as a home exercise strategy, I'm going to teach the client to roll their foot and their calf and then perform this ankle mobility mobilization. Okay, so once again, drive the knee out over the toe, come back. And what I like to do is I'll drive out over the middle about 5 times, over the outside about 5 times, and over the inside about 5 times, just to hit the different vectors of the ankle. Now, our next exercise that we want to teach our clients is a box squat. Okay, with the box squat, if the client's used to doing this, okay, this is their motor pattern. They're used to kind of like not hinging from their hips. Okay, I want to make it idiot-proof for them. I want to give them a surefire way to do this without compensating. Okay, so the way we're going to do this is I'm going to teach Chris to squat with his hips. Okay, so Chris, let's just stand over the chair here. All right, so now what I want you to do, feet a little bit wider. All right, a little bit wider still. Okay, now you're going to have your hands in front of you. You're just going to stick your butt out and sit down on the chair. Okay, good. Now sit back up. Now sit down fully. Now the beauty of this is it's idiot proof, okay? So if Chris sits down in the chair, suddenly he's using his hips, because if he doesn't do that, boom, he hits the ground, all right? So immediately I teach them, stick your butt out like a bad dance move, and as they get better at this movement, we can move them down to smaller boxes until they get this motor pattern, and they know how to do this on their own, okay? Now we can progress this stand up by just doing a touch and go squat. So now I just want you to touch down and stand up again. Okay, and again, eventually move down to smaller surfaces, okay? So again, when we're teaching somebody squatting in the gym, the modification would be maybe sit back onto a bench, sit back onto some sort of surface, that allows them to load their hip versus just loading their knees, all right? Put those two things together, you've got a great return to activity and homework protocol for your clients with the joint by joint.